You say in the last chapter that Obama's victory seemed to mark the end of a political era that began with Richard Nixon and his Southern strategy. How so?
Well, Nixon in 1968, of course, was elected in part because of the repudiation of the Vietnam War and the turmoil in the streets in the United States. George Wallace had also run and gained a significant vote in the South. And Nixon kind of developed what they call this Southern strategy of trying to win over to the Republican Party these disaffected Southern Democrats who were repudiating the civil rights gains of the 1960s. And then indeed many in the North who, the so-called racial backlash against the changes. And in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the Republican Party won majorities for many reasons, but one was by appealing to this sense of racial backlash. President Reagan began his presidential campaign in 1980 in Philadelphia, Mississippi, the place where 3 civil rights workers had been killed in 1964. Of course, he didn't justify the killing, but he made it clear that he sympathized with the local residents there who were under criticism for the racism. And of course, in 1988, President Bush ran the famous Willie Horton TV ad, which a very dangerous-looking black criminal was, linked with candidate Dukakis, the Democrat. So for many, many years, and the Republicans won the solid South all the way through. Not under Jimmy Carter won some southern states, but basically ever since Carter, the Republicans had pretty much had a lock on the South. The reason I say Obama's election really marks the end of the Southern strategy is 2 things. One, he carried several southern states. He carried Virginia, he carried North Carolina, he carried Florida. And so this was a sign that the age of backlash may be over, that Southern politics is no longer in this post-civil rights era, so that the Republicans could not just count on winning the solid South and then building from there. And second of all, of course, as an African American, he won a majority of the national vote, which shows that, a majority of the population is willing to go beyond the debates of the civil rights era. There were other issues involved in 1968, in 2008. So, in a way, maybe Obama's election means putting behind us, finally, these social divisions that were spawned by the 60s and the civil rights era.